Please listen carefully.
Well, hello, universe, and welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Kristy Jansen.
And I'm Summers McKay.
We are part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to help make it one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we're sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, TGIF-worthy podcast. Today is, in fact, Friday, the 25th of June, 2021. Hi, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. This is a Friday, yes. Good to be here with you, Summers, and
you too.
Amelia on the other in the quiet channel.
Yep. Amelia listening and quietly judging us nicely.
And all of our audience who listens to us regularly, welcome. Yeah,
Right.
so I made them wait for something that I wanted to share with everybody today, which is really
exactly. Fun. Kristy has been taunting me all morning through our morning meeting, our morning check-in, just saying, "Oh, I have something for the pod. And let me just paint a picture what our morning check-ins often look like. Kristy is still out walking Tucker. I ring on Skype and I feel like I just pop into her living room or pop onto her walk or pop into her kitchen. I'm like, "Hi, I'm here. What you doing?" And so it has been approximately 51 minutes of deep, intense anticipation. Kristy, what is the funny story you want to share?
Well, it's not funny exactly, although maybe it is funny since I have no idea what I'm going to be doing. But and Amelia is going to a wedding this weekend. We were talking about that also.
Yes.
And yesterday,
it is wedding season everywhere.
Yeah. We're talking about weddings. We're talking about June. We're talking about friends who listen to us on the pod. And I mentioned my friend Joe. Mm-hmm. So yesterday, I got a text from Joe saying, "Hey, are you around tonight?" And he and his girlfriend, Amy, stopped by. And they were basically waiting for me when I got home from... And they are wanting to get married, and they asked me if I would be the officiant of their marriage.
Ooh, I love it, Kristy. I love that. Of course you'll be a great officiant.
Summers, part of it is because they both together listen to us every day on the Optimist Daily Update, and they love our wisdom, and which I think is kind of hilarious. Because I don't know if that we're very wise, and our personalities, and they just think that we have so much to offer. And they both agree that right now we need optimism more than ever in the world. So
they're right. And, Kristy, as much as we giggle and say silly things, you and I actually are relatively wise. We have done a lot of work and a lot of learning over time, and you are an incredibly gifted speaker and leader, and everybody on the team loves you. So I'm so excited for them. And Joe, what is Joe's fiance's name?
Amy.
Congratulations, Joe and Amy. Yeah. So it's like our first Optimist Daily wedding.
Exactly.
Can we send them mugs? Can you make sure they have mugs?
Well, I've already given Joe a mug. I'll give one to Amy too.
Yeah, I think that might be the couple might deserve 2 mugs. And perhaps we could help them give them as wedding favors because we have so many that we've never gotten around to shipping out.
It is going to be a small wedding, so perhaps.
Where and when is this grand thing happening, and how will you be licensed as an officiant?
Well,
what's your plan?
I have to do some internet research for that because I'm clearly not. So it's going to be one of those online registrations. And it'll be here at Coal Point, which is where they got engaged. It'll be a very small personal wedding, and it'll be really fun. And I felt so honored that they asked me this. And, it was really fun to share that evening with them last night.
That is so special. Well, congratulations to them and to you. My husband and I were also married in Santa Barbara. We had one of our very good friends who is, in fact, our dentist as our officiant. Oh. And we got married at the courthouse, but what he did is he just did a same day officiant registration.
Yeah, you can do one where you just get it for the day, or you
Exactly.
can do one where you actually become a licensed
Yeah.
Unitarian minister or something like that.
But, I like this for you. I like this potential future. I like this better. I mean, I know you've got that notary license, but I actually think this might be a more impactful and meaningful one for you to maintain. So that is so exciting. And Kristy, if I ever have another wedding, or perhaps my husband and I renew our vows, you're on.
You got it, Summers.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. And you know what? Today, the stories we're going to talk about are kind of sweet too. Kristy and I are both feeling our Fridays. There is just so much stress and pressure in the world right now. I am dealing with a tremendous amount of anxiety around an upcoming trip my family and I are going to take to California. I'm just deeply stressed about leaving my quarantine and my life and my control of my life, that I have all of my tools and because for the better part, even though I did relocate my whole family across country, I came with all my tools and my roles and everything that I needed. And I imagine that a lot of people are really facing this. And we know that the world has a lot of pressure and stress and anxiety. And so Joe and Amy couldn't be more right. Optimism is something we need to be reminded of constantly.
Well, it's just the possibility. I mean, even when things feel fraught and challenging, just remembering that out of chaos comes opportunity. Out of change comes opportunity.
Yeah.
And, there's no time like today to start things over.
Exactly. And speaking of starting things over, wait, sorry, in the background, I'm sure you hear kittens yowling and cat toys dinging. The kittens that Kristy and I rescued are having quite the romp. But wildlife, creatures, oceans, wildflowers, big spaces. Kristy, one of my favorite songs, and I think you like it too, is the Tom Petty song, You Belong Among the Wildflowers. And the lyrics go, you belong among the wildflowers, you belong in a boat out at sea, which I think are both places you and I feel particularly at home. That's why we've chosen the stories that we've chosen today to talk about. Do you want to go first?
Okay, sure. I'll talk about my story, which is about seawalls and beyond seawalls. And the headline reads, Beyond Seawalls, How Oysters Can More Sustainably Protect Our Coastlines. And this is actually talking about using oysters as a natural building material that's a living building material to actually help reinforce degraded coastlines around the world. And particularly, this article comes to us from Southern California. The shells themselves are really strong in terms of a building. The natural composition makes them very strong, but also native oysters anchor into the sea floor and build on top of each other, and that can also help to stabilize the coastline. So this project is located in Southern California. Kate Nichols is the Marine Restoration Director of Orange County's Coastkeeper, and she's working to protect Newport Bay from the impacts of rising sea levels, and has acknowledged that traditional seawalls, when you build a fixed structure into like a seawall, can actually do more harm than good, because it blocks the natural tidal fluctuations and the sand migration, which is part of our natural coastline building and erosion and coming back. Plus, they can be very disruptive to marine animals who would otherwise be able to live in that natural habitat. So the answer in this situation is to look at oysters as a sort of a building material, a building wall. And so in partnership with Cal State University Long Beach and Cal State University Fullerton, the Orange County Coastkeepers have transported more than 40,000 pounds of Pacific oyster shells, which can serve as home for native Olympia oysters that lack habitat. So the larvae make their way into the shells and root on the sea floor, and then there's this natural band of coastline protection that gets formed out of this.
So I think this is really interesting, right? They've got 40,000 pounds of Pacific oyster shells, right, from, I don't know, various collection methods, right? They're just the shells. Right. And they're dumping the shells in the water so that a natural barrier is constructed between that and the grass. The larvae are basically making their own wall.
They're making their own
wall. This is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's an analogy to like a coral.
Yeah,
which is largely built like a coral on the skeletons of the organisms that have died. But the other thing that's interesting about the oyster bed is it helps to trap the sediment to prevent it from erosion. But also each oyster, each organism can filter up to 50 gallons of water per day. So it also improves the quality of the water that they're living in. Mm-hmm. And so now that this has been quite successful, they're looking at how do they create even a more healthy marine ecosystem. And they're now planting eelgrass, which is another mechanism to help hold the coastlines during storm surges. Yeah. But it also captures immense amounts of carbon from the atmosphere. The combined oyster beds, eelgrass plantations can become carbon-sucking habitat for other marine life. And it's really this interesting, innovative experiment. Right now, the program has been really successful in Newport Beach, but they have to evaluate the impact because transplanting this to other localities may not be exactly the right thing to do because it may be too invasive. But how can this inspire other solutions that also take into account sort of some of the natural materials and the sort of friendly species that we can introduce to help protect coastlines and protect habitat. And so that's what I like this article.
There was another story today also about mangroves, and we decided not to cover it because we're like going deep in the ocean with these oysters. But what I love about this is, as we always say, like regionally appropriate solutions are how we're going to enhance our world's regenerative capacity, right? And so looking at this, while it might not be the checkmate solution, it is a solution for this environment, this ecosystem, this little area in Newport Beach. And that is so meaningful that, locally they are coming up with a solution.
And the thing I so like about it is thinking about how to build habitat, which can also be beneficial to the cities around us. Which kind of reminds me
living in cohesion.
Living in cohesion with the natural world, because we are part of the natural world, and we should, not conquer it, but rather make friends with it and invite it into our backyards in a way that will end up promoting our health as well as the health of the other friends who live with us on this planet. So speaking of inviting habitat into our backyards.
Exactly.
Summers, what's your headline for today?
So speaking of friends and creatures living in cohesion, as you guys all know, I am like madly in love with bees. My daughter and I frequently go to the Lady Bird Johnson Wildflower Center, which is just down the road from, the area that we live in Austin. She's actually got the word pollinator down. So we say birds and bees and bugs are pollinators. So she was impressing the teachers with knowing the word pollinators last weekend. So the headline that I am picking in particular because it is advising and inspiring some future work that I hope to do here on the property that I live in. The headline reads, "Bee-friendly wildflower meadows are blooming across Germany's biggest cities." So let's hop on the plane from Newport Beach all the way to Berlin and talk about the 580 wild bee species, most of which have their habitat in urban areas that call Germany their home. However, more than half of these species are endangered or on the brink of extinction. Above all, the loss of diverse habitats, insecticides, noxious exhaust fumes, those are the main reasons behind the steep population decline of these valuable pollinators. However, that may change thanks to a series of initiatives that aim to change the urban landscape of Germany's largest cities by planting hundreds of bee-friendly wildflower meadows.
Love it. I love it.
Oh, I love it. So these projects took off about 3 years ago. More than 100 wildflower meadows have been planted in Germany's largest urban areas and are coming into full bloom this summer. Good to know that it takes about 3 years to really get them popping. Berlin has set aside more than 1.5 million euros to seed and nurture more than 50 wild gardens over a 5-year period. Munich's on it, Stuttgart's on it, Leipzig, Braunschweig, Hamburg, everybody is getting into the bee-friendly flower beds. Now, here's the thing. This is going to be a tourist boondoggle. This is going to be great for bees. This is going to be great for the air and the environment in these urban cities. It's lifting the quality of living and life for all, right? Because we know when the birds, bees, and bugs are happy, the rest of Earth is happy too. So Julian Schlaber is the name of Germany's Nature and Biodiversity Conservation Union rep. has indicated that they've received growing numbers of requests from city residents wanting to grow their own wildflower patches or pressure their council to stop transforming green spaces into superficial lawns. So I love this. I love this story. I love the knowledge that's coming from it, because I think what's also happening is they're teaching other cities and perhaps large landowners or people who have space or even a small garden on how to make a bee-friendly pollinating place in your own backyard.
And it's interesting, by having different little patches, it can be a corridor, right? It can give a little opportunity for the pollinators to fuel up. It's like a little gas station for bees.
Exactly. It's their little, it's not gas stations, it's their electric charging station.
Okay, it's their charging station.
Come on, keep brand consistent here. No, what I also like about this is like, it's not logical or reasonable for, even though we love our beekeepers and all of the cool people who keep bees and have them in their, on their home property, it's not reasonable for everybody to, have a hive. But this is something that you can have and you can participate in. And good job, Germany. We're excited for you. What else are we excited for this happy Friday on the Optimist Daily?
Other headlines on Friday's top stories. There's an article from World Unity Week about the power of connection. That's a film that is being highlighted there. Citizen scientists have discovered 2 new exoplanets, along with some astronomers, but again, the help of citizen scientists, citizen astronomer observers to discover more exoplanets.
What's an exoplanet?
If you're a bike rider and you notice that cars are getting a little too close for comfort, we have a headline about a taillight that has your back that actually records the cars going by, can help spot careless drivers. Museum in Dubai is the first in the Arab world to exhibit a Holocaust memorial. What else, Summers?
Scientists use a 3D printer to create a living material from algae. Got a song stuck in your head? That's your brain solidifying memories. So speaking of, I watch children's music videos constantly, right? There's this thing called Cocomelon and Badanamu. Kristy, I had a dream or perhaps nightmare the other night that my daughter's new favorite show was a Prince tribute band made entirely of black cat Muppets.
Okay.
So yes, that
was this actually a show that you've seen, or is this something you invented?
Nope, it's something I invented. And what was so crazy about it is that our oldest kiddo came downstairs wearing a face mask and black cat ears, one of those like deep mud face masks, as I was like holding the 2 black kittens and putting away one of Brennan's cat toys, and then all of a sudden there was a person in my living room.
This could be a really popular kids song,
Yeah.
Inspired by Prince and black cats. Like
yeah, Prince and black cats. Like it's going to be a thing. It's going to happen. Anyway, and last but not least, we already mentioned the mangroves, developing efficient water purifiers for mangrove education. And lastly, how bacteria can help us recycle electric car batteries. That and much, much more is available on the optimistdaily.com. Hop on over there, search our legacy stories, everything that's been in the news this month, last month, and really the last few years that are inspiring solutions. The world can seem tricky, it can seem frustrating, we can see polarization left and right, or we can look for solutions, and that's what we encourage you to do at the Optimist Daily. Thank you to our emissaries who contribute $5 a month to help support this business. We promise to continue to share positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. Have a great weekend, everybody. For everybody getting married this weekend, mazel tov.